How many currencies are there being traded in Binance? A lot.
Oof! I wish I should know this. No, I should know this, but I think it's about 30,000.
No,
30,000. 3,000.
Yeah, let me check.
No, I think it's so. We have 3,000 cryptocurrencies. But let me explain to you how Binance works and how we evaluate, because that I think would be helpful.
Yes.
And I think it's really important for people to understand this. So we're an exchange. We're neutral. Why we exist is to give users what they want. So obviously that means we will provide all of the core assets. So, Bitcoin is 65% of the market capitalization at the moment. So that's our core asset. But then other tokens are called altcoins. And we have many. I think it's up to 2,800 of those. And the reason we have those is because the users demand it. Now, what you need to know is there's volatility. Like, we're like the traditional finance industry. If you invested in Tesla last year, you're not going to be very happy last week. That happens in crypto as well. So that's why it's really critical when you are investing in these different currencies or tokens, as we call them, that you do your own research. So who is the founding team behind it? What's the roadmap for their technology? How transparent are they? How deep, you've been built on community.
Yeah.
And the fans behind you. That's really similar to to these projects and these currencies. They've got community behind them. So if it's a strong community, that's going to hold them up, during volatile times. So really it's about knowing, we always, we call it doing your own research. So not dissimilar to the traditional finance space, but you secure, the information is much more accessible to you as an everyday user. Like, you don't have to have a Bloomberg terminal like an investment professional might. You're able to access that, looking simply at the platform or CMC or these different ranking sites. So,
yeah, so 350.
Okay.
350.
Yeah.
And how do having Cristiano Ronaldo or Kabi or The Weeknd help you in this, in your goals, into reaching people? Because I guess I could say that when I talk to some friends about cryptocurrency, Bitcoins mostly, there is some kind of trust issue. People with education should play a big role, but also having these guys. How do they help you, and how do you deal with these trust issues?
Do you like sports?
I do.
Would you say you're a big fan of sports?
I'd say so, yeah.
So the good news is sports is universal. And
That's
a way to connect with people at an emotional point. It's about a passion that they're engaged with. And for me, and look, my background is in sports marketing and sports entertainment. So I'm probably a little biased when it comes to this. But, think about it. When we work with Cristiano Ronaldo, I know it's not the real Ronaldo here, but when we work with Cristiano Ronaldo,
he's a good,
he's a good second. He's a good second, as my sister-in-law tells me. But when we work with someone like that, he's the GOAT in many ways, or Neymar as well now. But he represents what is performance, what is resilience, what is being the best, someone who has lifted not only himself, but many of his family, friends, his broader community up. And he really kind of represents, not a utopia, but he represents something to his fan base. We were built on, there's a picture that our founder shared on Twitter earlier this week. And it's talking about the first week of Binance. And it's him with 8 of the founders in a room with no windows, barely any furniture. And they're sitting at a table, eating out of boxes. And their laptops are there beside them. And, he shared that this is week 1. And they worked 24/7 for that first 6 months. And within that first 6 months, they were already the leader by a long shot. And I share that story because you can automatically see the kind of shared story behind, we're obviously not Ronaldo. We'll never claim to be. But, the shared story that you can then build, programs around. And at the same time, Ronaldo also gets to use Web3 technology to get closer to his fans and understand insights and how they think and what they want. So it's kind of a win-win situation, and for us, it's really about just allowing ourselves to being invited into someone's mind share, at a moment where they are entertaining or enjoying around something that's passionate for them.
Pretty
So,
cool.
that's it goes far beyond, like, we'll never just put a logo on an event or a logo on an F1 car. It always has to be like, what's the bigger story? How are we giving access to our community to this platform, or giving access to their fan base to our platform? So it has to be like mutually agreeable.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I like to work like that too.